Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the adventure series. And for this segment of the adventure series, we're going to be talking about dinosaurs. Um, Now, just to start off, dinosaurs have been a huge inspiration over the years for adventure storytelling. There has been many movies. Most famously, which we're going to talk about in just a second, the Jurassic Park franchise. But even long before that, all in the black and white days, in the pre-70 days, there was all kinds of adventure serial kind of movies made featuring dinosaurs, and books and everything too. They've been a hot topic for adventure for a long time. So here we are to talk about Jurassic Park, the original, the 1993 classic original. One of my favorite movies of all time, one of my favorite franchises of all time, and could very well be my favorite franchise of all time, actually. And talking about Jurassic Park, this wasn't actually the first Jurassic Park movie I seen in my life. The first one I seen was actually The Lost World, the second one. But we'll talk about that when we review that movie. But because there's an interesting story behind that too. But when I was a kid, Jurassic Park was so important to me. Like it was just, I was just, it was one of those movies that, my mom put on for me, and I was just fascinated with what I was seeing. And, just became, I always loved dinosaurs, even as far as I could remember. I was a hardcore dinosaur kid, big time. And when I watched Jurassic Park, like it just blew my mind. Like I was just so blown away with what I was seeing, and infatuated with it. And then, you get older and stuff like that. But then when I was like in my mid-teens, or like even early teens, I guess, I went through like a re-phase of Jurassic Park. Like I rewatched the franchise, and even though I was a bit older, but younger, at the same time, I went through this huge, like I was almost more infatuated with it then than I was when I was a kid. I just went through this heavy duty phase of just being right into this story, and studying everything about it, from the filmmaking to the inspirations behind it to the book, to everything. And actually, when I was a kid, because I did, to a very minor level, but I have studied paleontology. But it was sort of brought about after that, because when I was a kid, it was like hardcore, like, yeah, like I want to be out there dealing with the dinosaurs, kind of a thing, whatever. But then you get older and you go through different phases and blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. But then this teen phase that I reintroduced myself to Jurassic Park, because it wasn't just, I mean, the movie's great, but it wasn't just about the movie. It was about like just learning about, as I said, the filmmaking of it all, like the whole story behind everything, like all the technical achievements, how important it was for the time, what people thought about it at the time, all that kind of stuff. So I really, really, basically enjoyed the movie. This is one of those movies, like, I don't think there's going to be any flaws, really. Like, it's just a perfect movie. I mean, I've watched it, like, it might not be, like, if I'm going to watch a Jurassic Park movie, this might not be the one I watch all the time, believe it or not, because seriously, I have watched it a lot. Like, I have watched it so much, and it's one of those movies, like, it never gets old. Like, it's still always good whenever I watch it, and it's still always, a trademark of my life growing up, and my love for movies, and my love for dinosaurs, and all history and paleontology and all that kind of stuff, all those interesting kind of things. It's definitely a major part of all of that. And so, but I've watched it so many times that it's, like I said, it's not necessarily, if I feel like I'm in the mood. Like once in a while, I'll get a feeling to watch the first Jurassic Park movie, or if I'm doing something like this, like wanting to review it all. deliberately watch it, but it might not be my go-to. You might be surprised. Like, I'm going to talk about all this in the future for this adventure series reviewing the Jurassic Park franchise, but it might not be. You'd be surprised at what it is actually, but it might not be the first one that I jumped to. But it used to be. Like when I was younger, the first one was what it was all about. Like I was always watching the first one, and then I guess it's just I've seen the other ones a lot, like Mega too, but I guess I've just seen them a bit less than the first one. So I go for usually a different one if I just kind of want to pass time with watching one of my favorite movies, kind of a deal, right? But anyway, no, I really thinking of flaws to say in the movie because I'm just clearing that off right out. It's just one of those perfect movies in history. Like there's not a whole lot of flaws in it actually. Um, the dinosaurs are beautiful. Both the CGI as well as the animatronics. I love the clash between the two, which it was a very important moment in filmmaking history when they splice the two technologies together the way that they did. The T-Rex was so cool. Like I was always like, people like the Raptors and like everything else, and that's cool. But I was always just fascinated by that damn T-Rex, Rexy. And especially even when I was older, reading, looking at the behind the scenes stuff, it really was a real dinosaur. Like it was just this big giant machine robot that was covered in dinosaur skin and made to look like a T-Rex, or at least what they thought a T-Rex looked like at the time. And it is a magnificent beast in itself. It is such a cool creation. It's such a cool piece of movie history and piece of art. The movie's great. Like it's just got a cool story. Like and bringing up, like that's another thing I was always just fascinated by too, was it's sort of sci-fi, but it's not. It's like it's very grounded in reality. Like even though it's fiction, it's very grounded in reality. And I was just fascinated how they took all these. Because a lot of people like to debunk stuff about Jurassic Park, which I don't have anything against either, but I just look at it from an artistic point of view, and they really took all of these storytelling tropes from history that always worked, like that people always, whether they're cliche or not, that always seem to work because, people, humans, relate and always want to go back to these kind of stories. And they took like all of those elements, a lot of those very interesting and historical elements, and then introduced this technologically advanced, sci-fi, technologically advanced, behind the scenes filmmaking, but also this kind of subtly sci-fi, grounded in reality, scientific, factual kind of thing to splice into this story, and it just worked perfectly. Like, I mean, that's why Spielberg's a genius, I guess, right? But it's just, what he and everybody involved in that whole thing achieved is just groundbreaking. And it absolutely, definitely, 100% is one of my favorite movies of all time. And of course, you probably already know my grading for Jurassic Park. It is definitely 100% in A+. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. The adventure series will continue with more dinosaur talk. We will be reviewing the whole franchise of this adventure series. Will have a few more episodes, just like the ancient Egyptian one. It had a bit more episodes than 3, which is traditional for the series. But we will be definitely having a lot more for this one, just because dinosaurs are such an epic, fundamental thing. So, we will be reviewing the entire Jurassic Park franchise, as well as talking about and reviewing some dinosaur documentaries, and doing it interesting too. Like, I'm going to pick some interesting topics, like not just these traditional, like, okay, you got the Jurassic and Cretaceous period and all of that kind of stuff. Like, I'm going to find some interesting stories, and read up on some interesting things and watch some unique documentaries with some different takes on things, and we'll just discuss some cool stuff about dinosaurs. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you for the next adventure series.